We are heading to the Gateway of the North today, where the northern boreal forest meets the southern Saskatchewan prairies. Welcome to Season 9 of MuniCast.
I grew up in a small town. I'm small town at heart. I moved to the city, but deep down I've not gone that far. No matter where my boots take me, I grew up in a small town and I still got 1 foot on Main Street.
MuniCast is brought to you by SUMA, the voice of Saskatchewan's urban municipalities. MuniCast discusses topics that are important to municipal leaders, like local governance, best practices, education, and so much more. Now in Season 9, we're meeting SUMA's Board of Directors, as SUMA has adopted a new modern governance structure built from a thorough governance review and member consultation. Now, this new structure is a caucus model with a 7-member board and 34 representatives from villages, resort villages, towns, cities, and northern municipalities across all regions, marking the beginning of a new chapter for SUMA. And to follow up our first 3 episodes of Season 9, we continue to dive into the new Board of Directors. And today we are honored to sit down in person and speak with SUMA Vice President of Cities and Councillor for Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, Don Kilmer. Our interview with Councillor Kilmer right after this quick message.
From the smallest villages to the largest cities, every day your urban municipality supports you. The water that travels from tap to sewer, the emergency services that keep you safe, the parks, libraries, and rinks that you enjoy, our cities, towns, villages, resort villages, and northern municipalities are urban hubs bringing people together. We are urban. Celebrate your municipality as part of the urban family.
Vice President Kilmer, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking about yourself, talking about SUMA, talking about your work as Vice President of Cities Caucus. Mm-hmm. I want to start with a very simple question, though, and It gets to know who you are. What made you get involved in municipal government?
To tell you the truth, it started as principal of a high school here in Prince Albert, Carleton. And probably, in my entire principalship, I would always joke with people that when I'm queen of the world, I will, or we will, but it might take a little couple-day fascist takeover, right? So for anything that was going on in the world, the group of us always seemed to have the answer or thought it was simple, even though we knew it wasn't simple. So then probably 2 years before I retired, I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to say it out loud. I'm going to run for the city and help move our city forward and see what I can do to add. And by saying it out loud, I had to make it happen. So Queen of the World via City Council.
Okay, that's one way to look at it. So your journey starts in if I'm going to do my basic math here correctly, 2020 was their first election?
Yes,
because 2024 was the last election.
Correct.
So what made you to start that journey of becoming Queen of the World in 2020 and saying, this was the election that I was going to get involved in? And what made you decide councillor was going to be that position? You could have ran for mayor, but you decided councillor. What was that about?
Well, I really believe that you've got to learn the process, that you have to be involved in the process and see the inner workings. Things always appear easier on the outside, but on the inside, once I got there, I recognized all the legislation I needed, all the different policies and all the different procedures and the whys. And once you kind of understand the inner workings, then you can start creating, asking good questions and move things forward. So what made me step out of my comfort zone, which is always a tough thing to do, like actual knock on people's doors, actually ask people to support me, to support you, is difficult. But I took a deep breath and decided what worst case scenario would be I don't get elected, and I can continue volunteering and helping my city grow.
Have you enjoyed it?
I have enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah.
What's been the favorite parts for yourself?
Probably learning about how dedicated public servants are.
The unsung heroes.
Unsung heroes. And it's really exactly what I grew up in as being a teacher and an educator. Tireless, endless commitment to the people that you're working for, and making sure to help those people that have stepped forward to be public servants and to be teachers, helping them stay okay, because there's a lot of outside noise that can really penetrate and hurt. But what I've found is people are all the same. They just want what's best for them and their family and their community, and public servants are tireless workers.
We talk about community, and we are here in season 9 of MuniCast, the SUMA Saskatchewan Urban Municipality Association podcast. And we are here to introduce the board members. And this is your first time as a board member for SUMA. So before we get into the role and the caucuses, what does SUMA mean to you as a councillor, but also what does SUMA mean to the city of Prince Albert?
What I am finding and enjoying most is SUMA is about connecting and listening. And it's always been that, but before, when I, in my first term, busy learning about Prince Albert, lucky enough to have Don Cody, longtime councillor and a member who served on SUMA for I don't even know how many years, but he's a role model to me for sure, and mentored me. I'd ask endless questions.
The teacher in you, right? That is the teacher in you, always trying to learn.
Well, lifelong learning, right? It's the key. It's what makes us all work. So to me, the SUMA, and from Don and from Randy, the president, and the people that I've been really fortunate to meet along the way, it's about finding voice and commonality, and taking that voice for all of us who are all urban. And I mean, that's a tough, urban is as small as 25 and as big as Saskatoon in Saskatchewan. And for all of those different voices, there's similarities. And we can learn from each other and move us forward. And the more we work together, the more we're connected, the more we use one unified voice, the more we can help the provincial government make really good legislation that helps us all. And when it helps us all, we prosper.
What made you decide to get involved in the board? Because you talked to your mentor, I should say, and I can imagine having a voice at the table is one thing, but what ultimately put that back in your head and say, okay, if I'm going to have a voice, maybe on the board is where I need to be?
I found that when we were switching when SUMA was moving toward caucus, I was really intrigued and loved that distributed leadership idea. The idea of putting similar groups together, making sure that their voices are heard, having the opportunity to share within those voices, then bringing that to a board, makes us much more efficient and effective. And I really appreciated the move and the work that SUMA did to make that move to caucus, to the caucus model. And I also promised Don Cody that I would make sure
So
that,
do we have to blame everything
voice,
on Don Cody?
We probably might have to. We might have
Thank you, Don. Greatly appreciated. You talk about the new caucus model. Now, this was a caucus model that was brought forward. The members were consulted across this great province, from the smallest communities to resort villages all the way up to the big cities.
That's right.
Now, you are vice president of the city's caucus.
That's right.
What do you see as the benefit for the cities to have a unified voice through you at the table of the SUMA board?
Well, it's a two-way street. So the meeting of the caucus, we've only met twice, and we're beginning to form that relationship amongst us and find our footing. But it's a real space. We're creating a real tight space to share ideas about the challenges and solutions with the local leaders, and finding that common ground, and also lending what has worked within your community, big or small. You can take what someone else has said, apply it to your community in a way that fits, and move your community forward. As well, the voice moving to the provincial government. It's harder for smaller communities to get in front of our provincial leaders who are working to make it better for all of us as well. So, having that voice that they can count on, that we have listened and we are bringing the message of examples, works well.
I know you've only met twice, as you said, since the new caucus model has been introduced earlier this year in 2025. What are the challenges, the common challenges that you're hearing in this early days of this caucus model from cities across Saskatchewan, whether it be down in Estevan or here in Prince Albert, Yorkton, Lloydminster? Are there common issues that you're hearing that need to be addressed, or are they all unique in their own sense?
The commonality that I'm finding is the funding and sustainable revenue issues within the 16 cities. That, to me, we have to, as municipalities, make sure that we have the resources to provide the essential services that the people within the city and the people that come to our cities expect. The cities are a centralized hub where people expect to have not only core infrastructure working for them so that their businesses, they may live outside of the cities and come in for their business, but they also expect the infrastructure that supports their family to grow. The arenas, the get-together, the things that really build strong community. So I find that that is the most common challenge, is maintaining the revenue, making those decisions, the roads, the sewer, the arenas, while maintaining the assets and continuing to grow the assets to meet the needs of our growing populations.
Now, this comes on the heels, as you just said in our pre-interview, that, and actually you and I had chatted about it, you were just in Ottawa in your role as vice president of the city's caucus alongside mayors and members of the provincial government, but also the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities, talking about infrastructure challenges. Do you have a sense or a hope, or are you optimistic that we can solve the challenges that cities face with SUMA's board and how they can advocate to the provincial and federal government?
I'm really confident in not just SUMA, but SARM, our MLAs, and our MPs. Like, every single one of us that have been fortunate to be elected have a sense of purpose.
Yes.
And I've always found, regardless, it's not about the politics, but politics about people. It's the people. And as long as we listen, meet, and have the goals, agreed upon goals, I do think that the levels of government can achieve something much better than where we are. We're continually improving and need to improve. It's a tough spot right now with the social issues that are going on and have been going on for years and years. Those challenges where our closest relatives and people, the citizens and residents of our cities are just trying to manage their life, that if all the governments work together and the community works together and supports each other, we can do some pretty darn good things. And
Is
Go
that
ahead.
why SUMA is best positioned to help communities of all sizes and cities across Saskatchewan? Because when I sit down in this season so far, and the guests that we've had on, the board members we've had on, I should say, the one thing I'm often hearing is collaboration. Collaboration, a unified voice, whether you're the smallest community to the largest city, like you said, of Saskatoon or Regina to the smallest community. And I just drove through it, so that's why I'm only just thinking about it right now. Green Lake. So the small communities to the large communities, you have that unified voice of SUMA. What makes SUMA best positioned to do that collaboration work, to advocate for all communities of all sizes?
Well, SUMA, I think, is best positioned because we're connecting.
Yeah.
And the new caucus model is based on connection, right? So the representatives are pulling together, of the small villages, are pulling together and using that voice, right? And they collectively collect and talk and discuss. So like with like, you know,
Yeah.
and you can find that commonality. And then at the board table, that commonality is found even more so. So regardless of whether you're looking for that infrastructure for that one really, like I said before, that one small water pipe for 20 people, or that huge complex in Saskatoon, like I've heard from a few members, it's just another zero. So whether the population is 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million, the challenges are the same because we're dealing with people trying to raise their family and build their family units together.
The best thing I've ever heard about municipalities is they're openly willing to steal from the best. And they are openly willing to collaborate with the best. They're willing to look at other municipalities saying, if you're doing it right there, maybe we should look at what we're doing over there.
I like that.
So for you, in your position as SUMA Board of Directors, Vice President of Cities Caucus, but also as Councillor for the great city of Prince Albert, do you see collaboration in your day-to-day work that you say, maybe other municipalities should look at what these guys are doing and maybe steal from the best so that way we're not reinventing the wheel in every single municipality?
I really love that idea, and it's the truth. Like, it's the very basic truth. And if I go back to my former career, exactly that. Why reinvent a wheel when there's a wheel?
Yeah.
You may just have to add a few other studs, a little different color maybe, you know, so a little, make the adjustment so that it fits your car. I really love that. So there are examples. We have been lucky enough to get in Prince Albert some funding for our safety and well-being. And that came from the federal government 2 years ago. And it wasn't used for that. It was, if my memory, it was guns and gangs. It wasn't really the real term, but that's,
Yeah.
but our application took it and we actually had looked at other cities across Canada and the United States and thought, no, you know what we need to do is we need to instead use that money for safety and well-being, right? That's the ultimate. And what we'll do is we'll hire someone that's our safety and well-being coordinator. And that person, as a municipality, we can't solve our social issues. We're not the police force, we're not, and we can't police our way out of it either. But what we do have are community members that care a lot, and quite a few nonprofit organizations. And unfortunately, many of our nonprofits were going after the same lane. And so we took that ability, that money, and heard from other cities that don't do that. Just act as the collection point, as the backbone of your city. And so we took our wellness and hired the perfect person for it. She's amazing.
That's usually the best idea, right? Is hire
Always
the best person.
the best idea. And she and the team that she's built is absolutely amazing. So we have these tables, bring the nonprofits to these tables, look for the gaps, And the smallest gaps to the biggest gaps, bring the people that have the ability to fill those gaps, not with money, but with their ideas. Then look for the funding. What can you do? What can you do? And then those gaps are, then fill the gap, put it in place. And so by sharing, by collecting from other people, we've been able to create a system that works. We're not going to solve all of our social issues in one fell magic silver bullet, but we are slowly but surely using our best assets, which is our people and our community nonprofits who care so much and do so much with so little, and pull them together and mind the gap. The lady that we have is from Britain, so.
Oh, there you go.
Mind the gap.
I'm just going to pick up on something you just said there, and I did not prepare you for this question, so
Correct.
it's out of left field here. But
Okay.
why do you say the best asset that municipalities have are its people?
Well,
I think it's a simple question, but I think it's an important one because you're the first person I've done a lot of interviews with a lot of municipal leaders across. Usually they'll say the best thing about their communities is the people, but you're saying the best asset, and that is a huge statement to say. Why do you say that?
well, human beings are our
Yeah.
best asset. Like, they
Because
have
usually it's like
they have a life lesson. They have life ability that's different than you. So differences are strengths. Differences make you absolutely stronger. Diversity is our best asset about Canada and Saskatchewan. When you weave things together, right, the tightest weave makes the tightest community. So if you're looking at your neighbor as someone who supports you, no matter what, then you just have that, your heart is just that much bigger, and your brain is more open to what they bring to you and what you bring to them. So, yeah,
that
no,
was the
I really
best
believe.
principled way to answer that
Oh,
question.
thank
I've
you.
ever
I think
heard.
that's my
That's
funny. Funny. It's what kids are our best asset.
So I want to turn to the future now for a few minutes,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't mind, because I'm cautious of time, and I know you're busy, and I want to make sure that you get along with your get about for your day.
Sure.
Now, for the future, we are now entering into this new governance model that we have just passed, as I said, in earlier this year after some consultation. What do you believe the future holds in store for municipal leaders and municipalities in your caucus for the future?
Well, I think what it holds best is the allowing us to collaborate. It allows us to share ideas. It allows us to advocate for each other. It allows us.
Do cities have a bright future?
Oh, we do. We
Really?
do. Oh, we do. Especially, even more validated my thoughts about, we are so fortunate to have the leaders that we have. And what validated to finish my thought, was that trip to Ottawa and the ability to meet those leaders one-on-one and spend some time. Our similarities are, as unique as we think, as much as, why does Regina and Saskatoon get everything all the time? We get nothing. When in fact we do get things.
Are you saying that as Prince Albert Councillor?
I'm now Prince Albert Councillor. But with SUMA, that trip is now the caucus. And we get to know each other in a personal way. We get to ask, we get to create a space and an environment where people aren't frightened to ask questions or, look like they, oh, I'm a counselor, I know all the ideas. Of course we do not. We do not. But what we do is share them, recognize that together we're stronger, and that Saskatchewan is a place like no other. We're resilient, hardworking people who we do share ideas and have always shared ideas, and know that every single community contributes to each other. So if Yorkton is doing well, Prince Albert's doing well. If Saskatoon's doing well, Moose Jaw's doing well. Estevan's doing well, right? We have Melfort, Tisdale's doing well. So SUMA is the great connector and weaver, and we just need the time to build that relationship amongst ourselves and continue to build the relationship with both our provincial counterparts and our federal counterparts.
With it still early days, and I know you've only met twice as a caucus for the cities, does the future look bright for that collaboration, that partnership between all cities? Because we traditionally silo ourselves in our today world, and I'm going to again ask a question that is not prepare you for, but I think it's an important one. Looking at the group of people that you have this term that are going to be part of this city's caucus,
Right.
they are well connected and they work well together. That must give you hope that your job is going to be so much easier than if you had people who are coming into this new and who might be looking at individual issues and not looking at it. What's good for Yorkton is good for Prince Albert. What's good for Lloydminster is good for Swift Current. What's good for Moose Jaw is good for Tisdale. So it must give you hope that everyone wants to work on Team Saskatchewan and Team Municipality Saskatchewan.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And as we kind of venture in our hour and a half teams meeting, which has its own unique challenges. So we're not really going to really get to know each other until we actually can meet or see each other face to face, because that's the best way. But what I have learned from the group is that they have patience. Patience for me as the person keeping trying to pull the group together, and my technological ability is somewhat limited, but they have that patience, and they're giving each other that space, and they're willing to ask that question, and aren't afraid to ask a question that might appear like they don't know, but they don't know. Yeah. So let's ask the question. And
because sometimes if you ask the question, there's someone else in the room who was afraid to even ask that question. So
that's the truth.
And I've learned that very quickly, and I know I'm going off on a tangent here, so I apologize, but sometimes raising your hand is the most important thing you can do. Sometimes just asking the question that may sound stupid may be the most important thing. But I am very cautious of time, and I have one last question for you. And this is the big one, because we've covered a lot over the last 25 minutes, and I guarantee there's something that I've missed. What do you want people who are listening to Season 9 of MuniCast to understand about this new caucus model, about the city's caucus that we have not talked about yet? Or even about yourself?
Well, I think the most important takeaway of any organization, but particularly SUMA and the work that we do, because that's what I'm engulfed in now, is that at the end of the day, it's about people. Yeah. It's about making our city safe and vibrant and community orientated. It's about the shift that is happening in our society now away from that solitary, individual, and we're now stepping out and learning to communicate with each other. And it's about families, it's about business, it's about community. And I mean, when we all step up, we can build such a beautiful province that is already beautiful, but even better for all.
Vice President, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for sitting down with us and chatting for Season 9 of MuniCast. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of MuniCast. Now, we appreciate you spending time with us as we get to know the people shaping the SUMA Board of Directors. We will be back in 2 weeks' time with our next guest, SUMA Vice President of the City of Saskatoon, Councillor Randy Downhour. And here is a quick preview of that episode with our new segment, 60 Seconds with the Board. Next time on MuniCast, we're sitting down with Saskatoon Councillor and Vice President of the City of Saskatoon for SUMA, Councillor Randy Dunauer. This is 60 Seconds with the board member. Councillor, what's your favorite sandwich?
Oh, Montreal smoked meat.
What's your favorite artist or music group?
I'd probably say Bryan Adams. I'm pretty patriotic, so it's always going to be a Canadian.
What was the last book you read?
The last book I read is a book called it's on William Stephenson, and it's his code name. It's a guy from Winnipeg. Sorry, I'm going to forget the name of the book. Churchill gave him a code name. It's a guy from Winnipeg who grew up, ended up working in World War I, World War II, met Winston Churchill, created British intelligence during the war, which eventually led to the creation of the CIA. One of the guys that worked for him was Ian Fleming, who went on to write James Bond and said a lot of my character, James Bond, was fake, but this guy's real. And he's from Winnipeg. And I'll think of the name of the book. It's a man called something, and I'll forget what it is. It was his code name that Churchill gave him. It's a phenomenal book about a Canadian.
Where was the last place in Saskatchewan that you traveled to and spent some time at? And you cannot say the city of Saskatoon, so it has to be outside your own municipality.
That would be Regina. Yeah.
Okay. And the final question, describe municipalities in the province of Saskatchewan in one word.
Describe municipalities in Saskatchewan in one word? Okay. I would say serving, because that's the perspective I see them from.
Thanks again for tuning in. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to MuniCast on your favorite podcast platform, or hit that subscribe button if you're watching.
I grew up in a small town. I'm a small town at heart. I moved to the city, but